Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Auto Transport Intel. It is Tuesday nights live, and this is the Car Shipping Business Channel. My name is Jay. I'm your host. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. You know, my goal every Tuesday night is to bring you another trade show level business presentation to you wherever you are, because your business deserves the latest in transportation news. You know, and I know you're busy, and if you are, you can skip ahead. What's going to happen in a minute, I'm going to go into the welcome lineup, and there I'm going to give you the lineup of what we're going to do tonight, so that if you watch on demand, there are clickable video time codes in the video description below. Go ahead and use them. Please leave a like, go ahead and comment, share, tell your friends. Thanks for watching Auto Transport Intel. We sure do appreciate it. So, people want to know, does the chip shortage affect car hauling? Well, what about OEM, dealer, and auction inventory? How about the supply chain and parts and drivers and staffing? What about unused equipment and storage, insurance, and debt? And let's throw in EVs, fuel cells, charging, and emissions, and you get a giant ball of transportation uncertainty. So tonight, we have Joe Bercari of Midwestern Car Carriers, Paul Machin of Black Book, Tim Scoutelas with Max Digital, and Mike Buchanan of ARI, plus Ty Thompson of Cars on the Move. So please join the live chat, ask your questions, share your thoughts, grow your business, because it's Tuesday nights live on Auto Transport Intel. I'm Jay, your host. Welcome back to the show. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Auto Transport Intel. It is Tuesday nights live, and you're with me. You're with the Car Shipping Business Channel on a Tuesday night. Thank you so much for joining us. Mic check 1, 2, 3. How is it? It's okay? The audio's check. I think we're okay. But keep me posted. Please let me know, because we are live. Let me know if the video's okay, the audio's okay. I like it just right, just in the middle. So I'll tell you what, here's what we're going to do. Let me first say this. If this is your first time here, I want you to feel welcome. Auto Transport Intel is an open forum. Dealers, carriers, brokers, dispatchers, if you're just starting out, or you've been around forever and you're getting jaded, it's okay. Feel welcome. This is Auto Transport Intel, and you can say what you want, share your company, promote yourself, say hello in the live chat. We're going to go into the live chat here in a few minutes and say hello. So please do say hello and let us know what's going on with you and what's affecting you. And yes, in the industry news, we've got national news, social media news, industry, front of the store, back of the store, chips, staffing, inventory, etc. Got a lot of news. It's going to be a great segment once again. So thank you so much for joining us. That's at the quarter hour. And then you're going to want to stick around, because we're going to bring in Ty, and we're going to talk a little bit about last week. Man, wow. Last week was amazing. But we're not going to spend too much time on it, because we got to get to Joe. I got all kinds of notes here. Joe's got a lot to say. I've got a lot to ask. We got a lot of problems to talk about. That's tonight's show. And then to help us out, we're going to add in Paul Machin from Black Book. You know, Paul loves to bring in statistics and insight. And if that's not enough, we're going to throw in Tim Scoutelas and Mike Buchanan. And we have a full-fledged problem party. So please join us tonight for that. We really do appreciate it. I mean, you're here, so you got to just stay seated. Just belt buckle and stay with us. And do me a favor. After you click that like button, thank you so much for doing that. It's right down there. You click share, click copy, grab that YouTube link, send it to somebody. You know, maybe they missed the email or the LinkedIn post, or they're just hiding under a rock and they don't know what to do. We got you covered. I know there's a lot of interest in this show, so send them the link and help them out. You know, you can go to autotransportintel.com, click on sign up. Become an ATI insider. Let us know how we can help you. We are here to help to keep the information flowing, the education, the learning, the training, etc. So do me a favor, right after this, we're going to go into the live chat. Stick around.
You know the value of a hard day's work because you're out there living it. Long hours, hard days, and a dollar that doesn't stretch as far as you'd like. But what if you had more time at home? What if you had more money at the end of the month? Where is it that your mind wanders on long, open roads? What is it that nags you at night? How could your life be better? More money? More freedom? Less stress? What if I told you I could help you spend less time on the road while making more money? What if I told you that you could plan your next trip in under 2 minutes? Both of these things are true with Dispatch Center. Turn the corner with us. Start your next chapter today.
Save valuable time finding the right loads faster. That's Dispatch Center by SuperFlo Systems. Get signed up, get logged in, make your load management life easier. Visit dispatchcenter.com. Let's go into the live chat. Oh, you know what? You knew it was time. It was time to ring the cowbell. Thank you so much, Mark Grodicke. Route Scout, your saved driver trips. So that, and Mark has tips. So if you have questions about Dispatch Center or SuperFlo Systems, the links are right there in the live chat. And you've got the website, go to superflowsystems.com. You got the email, info@superflowsystems.com. Go to dispatchcenter.com. And Mark is here. You can text him a question. Got a question? Come up. I'll tell you what, just come up with a question. Mark, why? Right, there you go. That you'd ask him, and he'll answer. He'll tell you why. I'll tell you what, and here's what I got to do. I'm backing up to the top. You're seeing the live chat as it's coming in. I'm going to go up to the top. I want to say hello. Ty was in here first. Is the shortage over yet? Really, Ty? Really? Well, we're going to find out. Mark Grodicke is here. Looking forward to another great show. Thank you so much, Mark. What's going to happen when they get a couple containers of chips and the cars and the trucks need to be transported? I'll tell you what. I'm going to save that one. That's a great Joe question. So Joe, Mark, and great. Chris, hey everyone, Ty and Jay, great live show last week. Well done. Thank you so much, Chris. We worked so hard on that, and it really came together. Actually, it was kind of one of those amazing, it was pretty amazing. So I'm going to ring the bell on that one. Thank you, Chris, and thanks for tuning in. Yep, Ty looked great in San Antonio. True enough. John says, hey, what's going on? Hope everyone's doing good. We're doing good. How are you doing? How's Florida doing? Silvermint, how about a looming parts shortage? There you go. So Silvermint, Mark, keep them coming. Because that's the thing. I know that for a while I think it was kind of like, yeah, there's a chip shortage. Now it's like, oh my God, what is going on with this shortage? And the news just keeps coming. They're like, yeah, we'll be closed for a week. And then 3 months later, now we're going to be closed for, I don't know, much longer. Oh, not that slide. That's later. Oh, hey, Kimberly's in here. What's up, Kimberly? Welcome to Tuesday Night's Live. Join the live chat. Let us know if it's your first time here. Yes, please do say hello. Carlos Braxton, ACB Logistics is here. Mark says, yep, Kimberly's in the house. And Silvermint, realistically, the only shortage is intellect in the White House. Really, Silvermint? It's not that kind of show, man. We don't do that. We're not talking about all that other stuff. It's everywhere. It's literally everywhere. So we're not doing that. Chip shortage. Joe Bercari, hey, what's up? What's going on, Joe? Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully I don't come up short. Mark Grodicke, Carlos, John, Eddie, hope you're all having a great week. Super Dispatch is here. What is going on, Super Dispatch? It's Ben. Let's see here. Oh, hey, Vistaga's here. What's going on, Vistaga? Fritz Duval is here. What's going on, Fritz Duval? Yeah, we got Joe Bercari. Oh, yeah, we got a heck of a lineup. Richard Brenn is in the house from the PHX. What's up? It's not that time yet. Victory Lab Transport. Devin is in the house. What's going on, Devin? What else we got here? Okay, I think we're here. Perfect timing, too, because we're at about 8:12. This is your last opportunity. If you got anything you want to add to the live chat, if you know of a cowbell you want to ring, I think you know what to do. And yeah, yeah. So like the national news, one of the things I'll say this. One of the things about if you're in like a big White House, like every week, so you have a brand new catastrophe. I don't really know how you deal at the end of 4 years if you line up all the catastrophes. Actually, I got a video. I got a video coming up that pretty much sums up what that looks like after 4 years. It's actually going to be, you're going to want to stick around for that. So do me a favor, stick around. I got a ton of industry news. So, yeah, we're going to get to that right after this.
You must be exhausted worrying about delivering on the daily schedule, making sure everyone knows where to find the cars they need, knowing exactly where and when the cars need to go, and ensuring customers will get them on time. ViLOG uses the most advanced technologies to ease your worries. It shows you where each and every car is and tracks their entire delivery process from start to finish. ViLOG can also help optimize your logistics and processes. It can even notify you in real time of any vehicle exceptions. And the best part is, you can start immediately with no setup required. ViLOG is a ready-to-use service available on the web and mobile phone. You can get started today at vlog.io.
What are you having trouble tracking? OEM, auction, dealer, carrier, rail, port, ro-ro, fleet. ViLOG virtual asset tracking solutions help you manage your vehicles in real time. Visit VILOG.io to learn more. I said, hey Jay, actually I sent my super chat to cars. Oh, that was a good idea. Actually, it was a great idea. So, alright, I told you I got a video. Watch this. This is going to be crazy. Let's go to, okay, you can see that? Yeah, you can see that. Okay, here we go.
cars.
Okay. So that happened. As $2 million in damages. $2 million in damages. And then I was reading, the article was saying something about how, like, that if you go under that bridge, it's a dead end anyway in an oil field. I mean, really? Like, some dealers, like, yeah, okay, what happened to our cars? The few that we're gonna get? Really? We got a chip shortage and holy mackerel, you added that problem? That is insane in the membrane. Okay? Listen, man, thank you so much for ringing the bell. Ty, ATI to the moon. Yes, we are going to the moon, and we proved it last week. Thank you for your help with that, Ty. Amazing stuff. We got a lot more to do, and so really do appreciate that. And really, Ty's trying to, he's tapping you on the shoulder. He's like, come on, man, give it up for ATI. ATI's going to the moon. Come on, everybody. Let's go to the moon together. Let's take Chris with us. Woo-hoo! What's going on, Chris? Thank you so much, buddy. Really do appreciate it. Appreciate the contribution, the participation. I mean, just being here to view the show, that's one thing, and then saying hello in the live chat is another. But then to contribute and to help support the channel, it's pretty amazing. And we're still here. Yeah, we're still going. We made it. We've been here for four plus years. Actually, we're really close to a 4-year anniversary of going live every Tuesday night. So yeah, Devin, automatic can opener, oops. New convertibles, insurance nightmare, all of the above. And it wasn't even on the list of original problems. All right. This is show number 205. It's chip shortage in car hauling, and that is a microchip. And, I'm like, man, I was like, do I just call it chip shortage in car hauling? How do I call it chip shortage, parts, supply chain, driver shortage, staffing, EVs, etc. I just went with chip shortage and car hauling. What the heck? All right, let's do this. 205 underway, and I know it looks easy. I didn't know where to put this, but I thought, well, if it's easy to hack cars, that definitely fits into this crazy problems show. Let's see here. Mic check 1 2 3. Let's make an adjustment. I was redlining. We're clipping. No clipping. And hey, man, how's your average days of inventory doing? Is it normal? Is it up? Is it down? What month is it? What's happening? What's going on next? In the auto transport industry ecosystem, as I've identified it, okay, tonight's show we're going to deal with all 10. OEMs, auctions, dealers, shippers, services, brokers, carriers, equipment, regulations, and loads. Everything is affected. Everything is on the table. It's all the marbles. We're in the back of the lot, in the transport parking lot, in the front of the store, selling cars. Auto Transport Intel is there. 360. Ooh, write that down. Somebody write Auto Transport Intel 360. Okay. It's 2020. What the heck? It's 2021. It's the year of the hybrid. It's digital auctions meeting physical auctions. That was talked about last week too. I think we're going to get to some more of that, because that when it's a packed house in the auction, you'll find Ty in the clubhouse at Ty the Transport Guy. Connect with Ty. Connect dealers, auctions, and carriers with Ty. For example, Ty was live at the IARA. There's Lawrence. You know Lawrence. You've seen him on a car shipping roundtable. That's Lawrence Moore. And there he is, hanging out with Ty at IARA. What's going on? So 2 weeks ago we had the IARA Roundtable Energy Show, which was basically if we could rope you in. I think that's what we called it technically. If we could rope you in, if you were going to the show and we could rope you in, you were part of the Energy Roundtable. And it was amazing. I roped in a bunch of people. We had a great show. I mean, there's Ty, and there's Becky, and there's Joe, and there's Matt, and John, and Martin, and Dave, and Ron. What a great show. So that was 2 weeks ago. And that was a lead into the Summer Roundtable, the IARA Summer Roundtable in San Antonio last week. just last week. And here's why I'm talking about it. Because day one on Wednesday, we went live. There we are. And we had some interest. There was some activity and there was some views, and that was pretty cool. And then we did day two. We got even more activity and more interest. That was pretty cool. But what you're not going to believe, check this out. Thank you for 10,000 views. What is Jay talking about now? I do want to say this, so I got to queue up the. Where's my? We got a sound guy asleep at the wheel here. We got 10,000 views. Okay, here's what happened. Between across all the social media last week on Auto Transport Intel, we had over 10,000 views across social media, and that's the biggest week we've ever had on social media. So that's why it is a really big deal, and I'm really proud of that. And so let me show you what happened. So here's how we did it. First, we had the two shows that's there. It's on the YouTube channel. You can check out day one, day two. Go ahead and watch those if you choose. But then, okay, so here is our first post. Come say hello at the Summer Roundtable. There's Ship Your Car Now with Ty outside the Marriott River Center. Then we had Drew Honecke with come on now. It's an auction. It's an auction in Michigan. I believe that Drew works at an auction in Michigan. Ty, help me out. Go and put that in the live chat, Ty. I can't remember which auction. Because we met so many people. It was amazing. And then this one happened. This happened. Building relationships with auctions. There's Tammy Swafford of America's Auto Auction. Ty sees her, and she goes in for the hug. And man, I mean, it is just, you know, look at. We got over. Oh, you can't see it. That's all right. Can't see the views at the bottom of the screen, but I mean, lots of support, and they just kept going. We had another great post here celebrating the 20th anniversary. And there is Charlie Vogelheim and Scott Kolb. We got another big one. This was a huge post. Can you see that? We're coming up on 1,800 views of the digital auto auction sales post with there's Bill Zadites of Auto Remarketing hosting a panel because people are very interested in digital auto auctions and supporting all that. And we want to thank Tony. Tony, thank you so very much for helping us get to the IARA convention last week in San Antonio. And then just to throw on, you know, more wood onto the fire, IARA went ahead and liked all of our posts over the weekend. And then Tim shares this. This is Tim Scoutelas on his, I guess he's on his, I was thinking it was an exercise bike, but I think it's just a treadmill. Tim is treading Auto Transport Intel on his treadmill. He's watching. That's a great. Thank you so much, Tim. Thank you for that use of Auto Transport Intel. And as I mentioned to Tim, you know, the faster you run, the lower the volume. So it's kind of a reward system. And I do want to mention this. So yes, IARA. Let's keep doing. We can do this at more shows, and we're going to. This is the October show, Automotive Logistics Supply Chain in Detroit. I think we're going to do a repeat. We are a media partner, and it's a hybrid event. I think we're going to go hybrid again. Digital meets physical. And do this. Go to automotivelogistics.media and register. Get logged in. Man, there's so much amazing information up there. You're going to see some more in industry news. And you know that if you see the banner, we must be there. Let us know if we can be. Do you need Auto Transport Intel at your trade event? Let us know. This is how people get car shipping news. It's on Auto Transport Intel. They cast it up on the big screen. It's the Car Shipping Business Channel widescreen. And here we go. Oh, yeah, that's right. It is now. Oh, man, it's 8:25. We're a few minutes early. That's okay. We still got more stuff coming up. We're going to play Are You a Car Shipping Guru? With Larry, the Quotify Llama. Don't forget, Larry knows what he's talking about. So here we go. Volkswagen introduced the first vehicle with a computer-controlled electronic fuel injection EFI system in what year? Is it 1968, 1979, 1985, or 1992? First vehicle with a computer-controlled... Man, man, these questions. There's always, I don't know how to guess. Does anybody have a guess? I don't know how to guess on this one, honestly. I don't know what to say. But I'm just gonna. I don't know. The 60s were pretty wild. Maybe the 70s. I'm gonna go with 85. I don't know. I guess I'm just gonna go with 85. Let's give that a try. All right, here we go. Next question. And you know that, so on Tuesday nights at approximately 8:30, we do the questions. And then on Thursdays on Dispatching Live at approximately 1 p.m., we're going to do the answers. And I do not know the answers, clearly, because Silverman already has a better guess than I do. So, yeah, Carlos, 85 or 79. Tough one. That's tough stuff. Here we go. What is the most appropriate carrier pay amount to ship a 2019 Ford Mustang from Knoxville, Tennessee to Rapid City, South Dakota? $745, $995, $1170, or $1380. Now, you know that, yeah, we got the answers on Thursday. Yep, that's it. Hey, Seltzer's Transport, what's going on? You know that Larry knows what it takes to get it moved. This isn't going to make the broker super happy. It's not going to make the carrier super happy. It's right in the middle. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and try that. Hey, Alexa, open Quotify. See, Larry, the Transport Auto Quoter Llama, knows his stuff. Go to transportautoquoter.com. Get a free demo. Find out what it's all about. So what's the rate here? Knoxville to Rapid City. I'm going to go with I'm going to go with, it's a Ford Mustang. Knoxville, Rapid City. I'm going to go with $995. I'm going to go with $995. I think $995 probably gets it moved. Yeah, you can, and that's right. Thank you, Kimberly. You can submit your answers to win. Go to dispatchcenter.com/Ask Larry. And any questions, Mark is here. Let's do question number 3. The Ford F-150 was introduced in what year? Ooh, 37, 48, 59, 64. The Ford F-150. All right, so it must have been some kind of truck name before F-150, right? So that standard would have happened in, I don't know. I'm going to go with 48. F-150. F-150. God, these are hard. For somebody, I'm sure this is simple for some folks, but for me, I feel like I'm playing like Trivial Pursuit. I'm like, man, every part of the pie is hard. Although arts and sciences, I usually have the best shot. Okay, question 4, here we go. What is the most appropriate carrier pay amount to ship a 2018 Honda Pilot from Reno to St. Cloud, Minnesota? All right, Honda Pilot, Reno, St. Cloud. Okay, so you gotta, first you gotta go to the map on Minnesota, St. Cloud. Because is that Minneapolis? I think it's a different city. And Reno, Honda Pilot. Oh, man. I'm going to want 1650 or more. I'm going to go with 1650. I'm going to put it on 1650. Yeah, because actually there's no good route. If you go to your map on that, there's no... And we might do that. I'll bet you we go to the map on Thursday. By the way, man, on Thursday, wow. Sue's been loading me up with stuff to talk about. And DOT compliance tomorrow, that's going to be huge too. We got a big week, actually. Because we were off last week, yeah. So we got double the news. All right, I'm going to go with 1650. We got one more. Here it comes. According to the Cars.com 2021 American-Made Index, what is the most American-made vehicle on the market? Corvette, Model 3, Expedition, Honda Odyssey. The most American-made vehicle. The most American-made. Corvette's tempting. Corvette is tempting. I mean, I'm sure... And then, actually, I'm going to skip the Honda. Yeah, I'm going to go with Corvette. I'm going to pick the Corvette. And I believe that's it. I think I've got my 5 chosen. Hopefully you have chosen your 5. And if you're ready, man, you're ready to submit, go to dispatchcenter.com/ask Larry. Mark, thank you so much for those great questions. And we'll find out the answers. Yeah, Carlos says Corvette. Go to ATI Insider on Auto Transport Intel, sign up. Let us know how we can help you. We are here to help you grow your car shipping business. Dealers, brokers, carriers, dispatchers, whatever it is, whatever your angle is, auctions, maybe the occasional OEM. We want to help you. So here's what I got to do. I'm going to take a break. We're at halftime in the news. Right after this, we're going to come back with we got some hard news, so stick around. We'll be right back.
Are you completely stressed out from all the calls and the contracts and the verification of loads when nobody answers the phone? Call Murphy Auto Dispatch Services today. Murphy Auto Dispatch Services has over 15 years of experience in the transport industry. We are your office while you are on the road. We book, we verify, and we bill out your loads for you. We have an excellent accounting staff and an even better dispatch team. Give us a call today at 417-273-0021. Or if you want to email me, it's murphyautotransport31@yahoo.com. Give us a call today.
Auto IMS and ConditionReports.com are pleased to introduce the TransportCR mobile app. Auctions, consignors, and dealers who engage independent transporters now have an affordable tool to hold all parties accountable when unexpected damages arise. Inspection photos, geotagging, date and timestamps, and user-specific authentication all ensure transparency and accountability. Install the TransportCR app or contact info@conditionreports.com. An inspection and condition reports authentication tool holding all parties accountable. Install TransportCR app or email condition reports. That's info@conditionreports.com. It is now time, and thank you all so much for sticking around in the live chat. We got the second half of industry news, so here we go. Now, we've been talking about chip shortage. Well, let's do that. Let's talk about some more specifics. Stellantis halts the Ram 1500. Pacifica output in U.S. and Canada. Jeep Cherokee, Chrysler Voyager, Dodge Challenger, and Charger also face cutbacks. It's the ongoing chip shortage. Sterling Heights facility, which employs 7,000 plus and operates on 3 shifts, will be down for a week. The plant also had downtime in July. Sterling Heights is just one of several Stellantis sites cutting production. This chip issue has been a disaster. Very frustrating. According to the latest estimate from Auto Forecast Solutions, the microchip shortage has cost automakers over 2 million units of production in North America alone through the week. That's through the week of August 23rd. AFS says automakers have seen nearly 7 million vehicles trimmed from global production plants due to shortage, and the firm now expects 8+ million before this crisis is over. GM temporarily halts Orion assembly amid massive Chevy Bolt recall. And there we go, shut of the plant due to global shortage of semiconductor chips. GM said Thursday it's extending the downtime as a result of a battery pack shortage. Oh, great. There's more than just the chips. And by the way, GM and battery maker LG Chem are still investigating what caused the manufacturing defects that resulted in at least 10 bolts catching fire. Wonderful. Last week, GM issued a new recall that expanded to all Bolt EVs and the new EUV for fire risk. The automaker said it will provide customers with an 8-year warranty. Said it expects the recall to cost $1.8 billion. Holy cow. And it's seeking reimbursement for some of that cost from LG Chem. Oh, those are good times. Ford says chip shortage to delay some Mustang Mach-E deliveries at least 6 weeks. No OEM untouched. Ford Bronco roof issues worsen. Oh, let's go into parts. Yeah, here we go. Material shortage are forcing a supply chain rethink in automotive. This comes from Automotive Logistics. In the face of material shortages across the board, car makers and their suppliers are looking at a range of radical alternatives as part of the drive towards more sustainable closed-loop supply chains. Around semiconductors, computer chips can miss the fact that many other commodities are currently in short supply: leather, fabric, steel, rubber. To address these challenges, OEMs are looking to shift supply chains towards closed loops in which materials can be recycled and reused. Talking about automotive grade steel, with over 900 kilograms of steel used on average in the production of a passenger car, a hike in steel prices has serious consequences. Prices for leather and hides have risen over 30% year over year. Natural fiber welding has developed an innovative process of converting plants into all natural 100% recyclable material that will mimic all properties of traditional leather and foams. Foam is made using certain chemicals which are produced during the refining of gasoline. Rubber prices have soared through the COVID-19 pandemic on the back of a surge in demand for protective gloves. Tires. A number of incumbent suppliers are looking to introduce more recycling in the tire production process. Michelin announced in May 2021 it had validated the use of Carbiose's recycling technology with plastic bottle waste for reinforcing fiber in the tires. Man, it's just a rehash of everything. How about this? When millions of electric car batteries will retire in the next decade, what happens to those? All that cobalt, lithium, and nickel. And let's keep going with all the changes. Toyota to assemble fuel cell modules at its Kentucky plant, while Hyundai is working on a hydrogen-powered SUV. Hydrogen-powered SUV. Ford could start shipping. This is very interesting. Okay, we read this previously. This is just a few weeks ago. Ford could start shipping unchipped vehicles to dealers later this year. Well, guess what? Nope, they're not going to do that now. And I said, what could go wrong? I think I had my hands right about there. What could go wrong? Well, yeah, Ford's unfinished vehicle plan, that's on hold. We're not going to do that just yet. And you take all those problems. Here's the kicker. Toyota, Hyundai, Kia post double-digit gains as stockpiles of inventory keep falling. Toyota, Hyundai, Kia, Mazda racked up another month of solid double-digit U.S. sales gains in July, even as inventories continue to fall broadly across the industry because of severe microchip shortages and other supply chain disruptions. Amazing. Here's from Conto's commentary, Car Global. There you go. So the vehicle, we're talking vehicle values. Vehicle values, the same vehicle just 2 years ago, way up, right? And it's still selling. So, hey, this shortage ain't too bad, said somebody somewhere. Truck and trailer build rates falling in the face of pent-up demand, struggling to overcome a myriad of obstacles. Yep. Everything's in a shortage mode. How about this one? OEMs to Department of Commerce. It's a driver turnover problem. Can anybody say staffing issues? 1 year later, COVID-19 causes desperation in the trucking industry. When the pandemic started in late spring, we saw the national economy grind to a halt. Some companies went out of business. This created a surplus of drivers fighting for limited jobs. The economy reignited, unleashing pent-up demand built over the prior 12 months. Trucking companies were completely unprepared for the demand, found themselves extremely understaffed. Now we're all struggling with fulfilling the demand of trucking companies that need hundreds of truck drivers as fast as possible. Oh yeah, and by the way, in auto transport, it's a very specialized skill with specialized equipment. And it's expensive to operate and own. Oh yeah, okay. Great. Application rates are falling even though we have had a 100% increase in trucking companies. What does that mean? And who's that guy? It means that drivers are taking their time and being selective in their choice of companies. How many companies have you seen posting that they're hiring? Is it even more than before? Well, why not? Nissan readies this push to get dealers onto Nissan at Home. Nissan at Home? What about customers at the dealership. Nissan at home. So far, 460 of its 1,000 U.S. dealers have adopted the brand's digital retailing platform. Dang, that's nearly half? Nissan jumped into the brave new world of digital retailing this spring, rolling out a nationwide online shopping platform. While hundreds of dealers have already adopted the retail tool, Nissan faces a sales job to get hundreds more on board. At the same time, public dealership groups with several franchises are unlikely to adopt a factory platform because they have standardized digital retailing systems across multiple brands. This will be interesting how this shakes out. By the way, so where do you get where do you buy the car? And all right. Great. Nissan Home. Oh, here we go. Nissan Home allows consumers to shop for a vehicle, schedule test drives, complete the paperwork for a purchase, including credit approval, finance, insurance, and take delivery without having to step inside a dealership. Oh, joy! Dealers are like, great! After delivery, customers will be able to schedule service appointments digitally. By the way, we're hearing about all the great news about all this nationwide online delivery stuff. Boy, it's seamless. So far, 460 of Nissan's 1,000 plus U.S. dealers have enrolled. You're asking dealers to give up some control of the car deal. You're asking dealers to change their business model. That's not going to happen overnight, but dealers will need to adapt. Wait, who's running the narrative here? The auto industry is gravitating towards online sales to cater to a generation of consumers averse to brick and mortar shopping. Holy mac! I thought we were talking about chip shortage, Jay. I didn't know we were going to go into the end of the world. Oh, I guess we are. Hurricane Ida traps Louisians. I mean, as if there's not enough. I had to mention because the weather. It's not just right. It's Ida this week. What's next week? Right? But we do appreciate. This is Reindeer Logistics putting out a message. If you're running into delays or difficulties, let us know. We want to work with you. We want drivers to be safe. So, speaking of, I did this one a week, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago. Battery-driven auto rickshaw gives rise to panic. Let's go. Let's do another run. Let's hit it again. Battery-driven auto rickshaw gives rise to panic. How many people are freaking out over this battery-driven auto rickshaw? Right? But what's your... To somebody with the manual rickshaw, this thing's a nightmare. What's your battery-driven auto rickshaw? Because it's out there and it's looming, and we're gonna need to talk about it. I know it's kind of freaky, as if like the world isn't freaky. The world's freaky. There's craziness going on everywhere. That's why we go live 4 times a week. Tuesday nights live. We start off the week. We bring in the industry craziness. Then we go into Wednesday's DOT craziness. That's at noon. With How We Doing. That's a crazy segment. How are we doing? You're just going to load it however you want? No. Then we got dispatching craziness. That's on Thursdays at noon. Join us as we search the load boards. And, we got problems. We're shooting dice. We're counting our money. And then maybe, just maybe on Fridays, we can get a little bit more calm, connecting dealers, auctions, and carriers. Let's get back to business before it's a whole nother crazy weekend. Right? And yeah, I do want to thank that. We had a great show. That was last Tuesday night. That was the Black Widow Easy Imaging show. That was so great. Yes, in fact, here we go.
It's nice.
Now, for many, I clicked a button and you heard audio, but for some, that's how long it took them to get the pictures of the vehicle ready for the dealership website. It's your pick. Okay, so yeah, thank you so much, Black Widow. And also, Black Widow put the podcast up on their site. Man, I love that too. If you see something that, if there's a way that we can collaborate and share information, that's what it's all about. I mean, we're cranking out media here on Auto Transport Intel, especially last week, with the IARA. This is the Car Shipping Business channel. I really do appreciate it. Oh, I'm already over time. Look at that. I've been talking so fast, and I'm still late. So here's what I got to do. Right after this, we're going to be live with Ty, and we're just going to share some information for a few minutes, and then we're going to bring in Joe Bercari, and we're going to get into the meat of how does chip shortage affect car hauling. If you haven't got it in your skull yet, we're gonna take a sledgehammer and we're gonna pound that in. Here we go. Is your current vehicle imaging process producing inconsistent images? Frustrating? Time-consuming? At the mercy of another vendor's schedule? Well, it doesn't have to be. Black Widow Imaging provides a simple system to capture high-quality images of your vehicles in seconds. Simply align the driver's side tire with the floor stripe. Stop on the floor plate to scan your vehicle code and capture the exterior images. It's that easy. It's also equipped with an interactive 360-degree interior camera option so your customers don't miss any details. The results are fast, consistent 4K images that are delivered to your website in minutes. Let us show you how easy your imaging process can be anywhere in the global supply chain. Visit blackwidowimaging.com to schedule a live demo. Black Widow Imaging provides high-resolution pictures for OEMs, auctions, dealers, rail, port, ro-ro, insurance, transportation, and more. Schedule a live demo. Go to blackwidowimaging.com. All right, so if you're in the live chat and you're waiting and you're ready to go, and I missed a lot of the live chat, by the way. I haven't read anything since we did Larry halftime questions. But I see, Brando Parada, JP Auto Transport's here. What's going on? No wonder scrap yards are buying wholesale cars. Yeah. Or rather, yeah. In fact, I've been reading a lot about how, like, dealerships that would never normally keep that trade in. Oh, yeah. They're reconning that thing and they're selling it. So here we go. It is now time. Let's bring in Ty. Mic check 1, 2, 3. Ty, can you see me and hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. Happy to be here tonight, too. Looking forward to tonight's show. The last time we had Joe and Paul on, I pretty much got blown away with this,
right.
the information that these guys have on the EV. So knowing I was going to be on the show tonight, knowing I don't know half as much as these guys about EV, I thought, well, I'll read one article about EV, Volkswagen, right? I sent through that.
Yeah, I know. Dude, I've been reading articles all day trying to keep up with those guys.
Yeah. I don't know how they know so much, but that's kind of one of the cool things about this show that you built, this platform, is we have these relationships with really smart people that know a lot more than us. So we're not just sitting here blowing smoke. We don't know. We'll tell you we don't know. But that's where we have connections, relationships. That's the important part. That's the big takeaway from last week. That's the moving forward. That's what you always hear me talk about. But that's what this channel is all about. It's about relationships. And you see that every Tuesday, every Wednesday, every Thursday, and every Friday. Those are relationships. These people are here for a reason, right? Because they're passionate about this industry.
And that's what's neat is once you bridge the relationship, like bridge the I don't know you gap, right? Then when the information flows, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're drinking from the fire hose.
Yeah. Well, and spending time with people, that equals relationship. So cool story. I'm going to leave names out on purpose. But while I was at the conference, I was able to spend a significant amount of time with 2 people. And getting to know them better, getting to watch them interact with each other, getting them interact with people at the conference, and knowing what their business is, there was an immediate connect. I need to connect these people with some of my other friends. Okay, so I was thinking about getting ready to do it. I got a weird phone call from this guy on this side that I wanted to connect these two to this guy, right? I get a phone call that morning. Hey, I've been watching you. I know where you're at. I know what you're doing. Do you know these 2? Yeah, I've been spending a lot of time with them. It's funny you called because I was getting ready to call you. You need to meet these people. Yesterday, I was on a conference call. They're going to fly and they're going to meet and they're going to do business. That's what we do. We connect. We're connectors. We connect dealers, auctions, carriers, and everything around it. So we go to these conferences to make relationships, to learn about what's going on in the industry, to bring it back to you, and hopefully help you in your business.
And on that note is that we know that what we thought, we had a theory, and it's been verified. We had a theory that these other verticals were talking about transportation, but felt disconnected. That's been verified. There are verticals that we're now more connected to that are happy to speak more about transportation with folks in transportation that want to really talk about a conversation that's going to at least address what's going on in automotive.
Yeah. And I think one of the takeaways, you've heard me since we've been doing this on your show, right? You always hear me kind of be a little bit rough on the carrier group.
Yes. Yes, you are known for that. And you know what's funny? You're not near as rough as the other verticals.
Well, that's where I was going with this. So you guys think I'm rough. You should go hear the people that are writing you the check, hear what they think about you and how you run your business, right? There's an issue. It might be them, it might be you, it might be both. I don't know.
Well,
there's an issue.
But at least this conversation is happening now. And that, whether it's, helpful, hurtful, or otherwise. And I do want to say, look, Candy's here, Joel is here, Brian Pepsin is here. That is so awesome. And thank you guys for tuning in and saying hello. We know people are busy, right?
Yeah.
They are, which makes it hard to put these shows together. But, we do. That's the thing. With Joe and Paul and Tim and Mike all here tonight, that is amazing. So I want to thank everybody right now for being patient. Joe's going to be here in a second.
I'm ready. Let's do it.
You ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's bring in Joe. All right, so I'll tell you what. So, Joe, here we go. We're going to bring you in. I'm going to go ahead and adjust the audio, say hello in the live chat. And Brian says, hello, everyone. Hope all is well in car hauling. I learned a ton from the industry using it with my new endeavor. Yeah, right, because, Brian has moved on to... Joe, your color is...
I'm yellow.
Yellow. I mean, I'm good with it.
Is that jaundice?
I think there's
I don't know.
what is it? Blue? What's the? There's a color shortage.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, there's color shortage. Let me see. It says there's a video filter. I don't know what that does.
Yeah, try it.
Yeah, just push buttons.
So hey, while he's doing that, Ty, what did Brian go on to? And he can put it in the live chat too. But there are many car haulers that went on to do.
Oh, Brian, yeah. What did Brian? Brian, yeah. I still stay in touch with Brian. Brian was FedEx driver forever. Saved him a lot of money. Called in, wanted to haul cars. Hauled cars for a little while. Didn't work out too good. Tried something a little different. Freight. He's killing it in freight.
Yeah.
He's got his own customers. They're calling. I mean, that's what he's saying. He's saying, I took what I learned from you guys and I applied it over here. It worked better for me over here.
Well, and this is relevant because I got my notes. I got stuff everywhere. What I'm hoping to find out from Joe is, how is it? I know that there are exactly right on. Me too. I know there are owner operators that are on the load boards that Joe, they don't understand. Oh wow, the color, look at that.
What did you do?
Hey, Joe.
I didn't do that.
I waved a wand. So there are owner operators wondering how in the world with all these problems, how am I still getting squeezed at 37 cents a mile per car? But before we get to that, Joe Bercari, welcome back to the show. Please say hello to the Tuesday Nights Live audience. Feel free to tee up whatever it is that you think we're going to do.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's been a while. Kind of missed you guys. So always great to hang out with everybody. And I'm especially looking forward to once again sharing the screen with the great one, Paul Machin. His data is awesome. I'm a metrics guy, so I love hearing what he has to say and, hearing his spin on how the data, skews in the direction that it goes. So I've got a lot of bullet points and topics to go through, and it's going to be real interesting to see if, what his numbers, if he has any numbers available that he can bring to the table, kind of put things in perspective.
And I think that I don't think he has a formal presentation. And he was like, I don't, I'm like, dude, I know he walks, he's got so much information floating around his head. I'm not even worried about it. It's going to be
the great one. That's what I call him. He's the great one. He knows his stuff.
That is fair. He's amazing. So, but I gave you screen share because I think you've got, if you want to start with a slide or whatever you want to do, take it away, Joe.
Stand by 1 second. Every time I do this, I get nervous. So we're going to do
I hear you, man.
We're going to try. Okay. You see me?
I see you.
You see my presentation?
I don't see your presentation yet.
Oh, that's not great.
Could be a different. I don't know if you have dual monitor.
Yeah, it's been a little.
That's all right. Hey, we fixed the color though, and so
the color works.
Here we go.
There we go.
Right.
So guys, if anybody knows me at all, you know that I'm a big fan of comedy and stand-up comedy. This gentleman is one of my favorite short comics. His name is Brad Williams, and I thought it was appropriate. He makes a lot of jokes at his own expense. He's a master at that. And so I felt like for presentation to discuss how the industry is feeling a little short, he seemed like an appropriate opening slide so that way we can kind of get the discussion rolling. So, this is it. What's chip shortage, man? Everything is the chip shortage. Everything seems to point back to the chip shortage. And so I thought it'd be a good thing to start talking about what has happened, at least as far as the new vehicle industry is concerned, at a high level. With the pandemic in 2020, production was cut on chips. A lot of manufacturers reduced their demand. And the next thing you know, the manufacturing of new semiconductors and microchips basically throttled back their production to meet whatever that demand was. Well, at the same time, with people spending more time at home, there was a greater demand for things like computer monitors, for PlayStations, for televisions, for all those things that require semiconductors and chips. Before you knew it, the chip production was back at full steam, and it wasn't building them for cars anymore. So here we are, and by Q2, you have domestic factories in the United States. By Q1 2021, domestic factories are back online. They're requesting chips. Supplies and stockpiles are already starting to get chewed through. But by Q2, it becomes apparent that the amount of supply and the amount of demand are completely unequal, and that nothing that the chip industry is going to do is going to magically fix that problem. It's going to allow them to basically get caught back up. And so what has happened is manufacturers have had to either cancel production, reduce production, or in some cases, we've all seen news stories of where manufacturers have parked vehicles, tens of thousands of these in various places in the nation, what they refer to as an incomplete vehicle, to be stored for such time when those parts become available. And when those parts become available, in theory, those vehicles will then run back through their final quality line. And then as a completed vehicle, it will then, enter into the distribution network. Now, there was a question before we got to this point about what happens if they find, 10 pallets of chips and they're able to start launching cars back. Well, the answer to that question it really depends on one of a couple things. If the amount of chips that are available are capable of supporting OEM production, but not repair jobs, that's what they'll do. And we'll be basically kicking the can until such time as there is enough available supply to be able to start releasing both. If the available chips are going to go into repairs but not new production, then that's what they'll do, and they'll start to draw down their inventories. We've seen a little bit of that on the new car side. I mean, it's been kind of fits and starts and spurts. A lot of it has really just been trying to fulfill customer orders and those things like that. So if you ordered a brand new vehicle, in April and it didn't arrive in May because it was one of the incomplete ones, then to satisfy that customer, they might have put a chip into that vehicle and then sent it on its way so that way it would go to the ending customer. Most likely what will happen is that as chips become available, the OEMs will sort of filter them into both the storage pile as well as the manufacturing pile, which means that we will have a severe capacity crunch because you'll be basically receiving essentially assembly plant production. All the rail pipelines will start to get full. And on top of that, they're going to have thousands of units that they're going to try and empty from these offsite storage facilities, which, by the way, are costing companies many dollars to be able to maintain. So there's going to be a big push to empty out both what is currently in the sink as well as what is coming down the pipe. And that is going to be a very, very, very significant event in our business. It's going to be a massive capacity crunch. I would expect that you're going to see some radical shifts in the way that companies do business and what capacity is available, both on new vehicles, fleet agencies such as ourselves and some of the other carriers, and brokerage is going to probably explode with all kinds of fabulous pricing deals for folks. But that's all in the future. Where are we today? Well, today you went through a half a dozen articles, and I have a few more on one of the next slides where we talk about the continued outbreaks are completely stifling production here and here and here and here. And I'm talking about Malaysia, Vietnam, China, places that have been traditional historic chip production origin facilities. COVID, especially in places like Malaysia and Vietnam, I heard something on the news this morning that said that essentially Vietnam is where the United States was this time last year in terms of managing the pandemic outbreaks. And so what does that mean? That means that those factories are not producing chips, whereas this time last year, they were struggling to keep up with demand, which means that as countries close their borders for safety concerns, or as the United States refuses deliveries from countries that are on the watch list for COVID, then it's going to really, really cut off supplies. If you remember last year, there were pictures that you could see of ocean vessels sitting outside of the port of LA that were just sitting out there waiting to get in because U.S. Customs was saying, I don't think so. You all had an outbreak and you're not welcome here, so to speak. So I think you could potentially see a little bit of that type of resurgence again. Very recently, I was on a call with one of the manufacturers. It was a mirror image of about 2 other calls that I've had with other manufacturers in which they discussed the state of the state, and they are continuing to estimate that their shortages and supplies are going to be very, very sporadic. Choppy waters for all of us in the new car side. There will be shortages throughout the rest of this quarter for sure. Many of them are suggesting that the chip shortages and the choppiness will go to the end of this calendar year. The optimistic estimates are that we will not see a normalization of chip supply until sometime at the end of Q1 in 2022. And that's the optimistic estimate, folks. So what does that mean for us? Well, it means that we are going to be dealing with this new normal for almost a year, at least 3/4 of a year. And even after that, it's going to take some time for the manufacturers to get into a rhythm where they can start pushing product back out again at the clip that they were doing in 2018 and 2019. So the short version of the story is, a lot of manufacturers, they don't know what Monday's chip supply looks like before Thursday of the previous week. And a lot of us have to be basically dancing around while all this happens. And it is a very, very substantial issue. So I just grabbed a couple of news articles these are very current within the last 2 days. Toyota was the biggest news that I saw here in the last couple of weeks because pretty much anyone in the industry will say that, they had a fairly good handle on chip supply. And now they are saying, no, we are affected too. And the chief reason that was stated had to do with the situation that I mentioned in Vietnam. The domestics had a lot of issues with chip shortages, and a lot of it related to that they would secure some degree of parts, some amount of parts. They thought that was going to be consistent supply. Things fell through, And so they would grab onto the next lifeline and things fell through, and they would grab onto the next lifeline. And that has been a pattern as far as I've been able to see throughout the industry. This is nobody really handled this poorly. They did the best they could with what the resources and that they had available to them at the time. And that too is another tragedy. You cannot point at one or the other and say, boy, they botched this, because really, you're dealing with 15 people chasing after 3 fish in the bottom of the barrel. So what's the result? Well, car inventories for new vehicles has declined. And this chart, I got this from one of the OEMs, and it shows all of them according to their overall picture, and it is very telling. I mean, you can see, and I can't really draw a line, so maybe Ty or Jay, you guys can, but you can kind of see where 2020 May, all of a sudden, inventories just take a dive. And what was happening there was the overall manufacturing was around that time. That was when pretty much the well ran dry for everybody. And it all just went kaboom down. And this is the state of where we are right now. So what happens here? New vehicle inventories decline because production declines. And what happens at these origin plants, whether it's an assembly plant or a railhead or any phase in between, marshaling yards, et cetera, is that this production dip reduces volumes. Drivers need to work in order to maintain that check and feed their families. If a driver can't find work right now, it is very easy for a person with a Class A CDL to go find a place that is going to pay them to put that Class A CDL to work. So drivers, in some cases, they take layoffs. In some cases, they decide to go somewhere else and seek steady employment, usually outside of car haul, really to deal with the boom in logistics deliveries that the new at-home services have become very novel. Well, what's happening is it's draining people away from our business and into these other traditional freight industries. Then something happens. They find a carton of chips, or they are able to secure enough to be able to push manufacturing on. Production resumes, but guess what? Capacity, which was X, is now X minus. Production is not X minus. Production's production. That comes out, and as I say here, everyone becomes chickens with their hair on fire, running around like lunatics trying to draw down this inventory. We gotta go. Move it. Because these dealers are screaming for inventory. I cannot tell you how many times that drivers at Midwestern car carriers are sitting there and saying, what can I do to get that car? Because I need actually 4 of those, and you're only dropping off 3. And of course, it doesn't work that way. But dealers are screaming for inventory to sell. They have customers willing to buy. They have salesmen willing to sell, and they can only get so much. They've been throttled. And then the next thing you know, at some point, production dips again, and then the dragon eats its tail. The cycle continues. And so it has been an extremely substantial challenge for an new OEM manufacturer to be able to keep up with all the things that's happening here and keep a steady workflow, keep their people moving, keep their people in a check, so that way, you can keep that capacity consistent. And that has been one of the biggest industry challenges, as I see it, across the board. And it probably gets even deeper than that. We'll touch on that in just a second. Now, used car inventories right now also declining. And this interesting article that I recently read was saying that in June of 21, used car sales essentially peaked, and they dropped off in a big way. I think the number was 3.6 million in a month to 3.1 million in a month. That's a very, very substantial drop as a percentage. What's happening here is, as new car production is capped, wholesale car prices on used vehicles is rising, because you're watching this crazy interplay, because demand eventually is going to get what it wants one way or another. And if used cars and lease returns and those sorts of things satisfy that demand, and that's the direction that they're going to go. There is a tipping point where used cars and new cars approach roughly the same value, and people start making decisions about, well, do I want it now or do I want a warranty later, and that kind of stuff. what ends up happening is that the consumer ultimately suffers, and there's an argument in there for inflation and a lot of other economic stuff I don't want to get into. But what basically is happening is that the consumer is going to be ultimately paying the price, literally, as the price increases, because as used car sales costs increase, wholesale costs increase, a dealer's got to have a margin to make it worth their while. New car sales are going to be a function of used car sales, because ultimately intrinsic value is based upon its ability to be able to maintain current household value and depreciation. So, said in a different way, as used car values increase, new car prices will also increase proportionally. So we talked a lot about what's happening on the manufacturing and customer side, but there are huge problems elsewhere. And I can tell you right now that new vehicle maintenance has become an absolute struggle, because there are now parts shortages everywhere in terms of new vehicle, new commercial maintenance, and new rig. Ty's making faces at me, so I'm sorry if I'm stuttering.
No, sorry. I hate to interrupt you, but this is good, guys. What you're getting ready to hear here. I haven't heard this. I don't know what he's doing next, but I think I do. This is good. Pay attention.
Well, so my number one thing is always has to do with people. And manpower and service technicians are in incredibly high demand right now. Incredibly high demand. You know, it once again, much like a Class A CDL driver, if you know how to turn a wrench, you're going to find a job. It's just a matter of looking in the right places and being willing to learn, you know, a craft one way or another. But let me take it another step in a different direction. Right now, there are several parts on, and it's not one manufacturer. These are Midwestern's New Green Pete's we just took delivery of, and they're in the make-ready process. But it is every manufacturer is having issues with various parts that are normally shelf stock items, air dryers, compressors, you know, alternators. These things are normally, there's dozens of them sitting on some dude's shelf somewhere. Today, you cannot find them. And, you know, it is putting a crunch on everything from new OEM parts in the case of warranty to remans and remanufacturers if you're outside of warranty. You know, there are stories of people paying insane prices for AC compressors on eBay right now because you're able to get that now and avoid the loss in revenue. So it is a really, really substantial problem. Jay, I think you said something about tires before, that there's a crunch on tires. There was an article that I read some time ago that said virgin rubber is actually becoming a pretty scarce issue, and that there are certain types of parts that are manufactured that cannot use recycled rubber. It has to be virgin rubber for whatever reason. So on the one hand, it'll eventually spur some really interesting innovation. But today, those parts are in short supply. And what's happening is, and I'm getting a little ahead of myself, but what's happening is that what would normally be routine maintenance runs, routine basic stuff, you know, APMs, BPMs, you know, even federal PMs, yeah, they take, you know, maybe can take 2 days, whatever, to be able to go from soup to nuts on a car carrier. But because of these parts shortages, you're seeing delays up to 4 times the normal expected time. An oil change with filters that would normally take 2 to 3 hours to get knocked out, in some cases is taking a day, day and a half, either because there's a shortage of manpower or because there is a shortage of parts available if replacements are deemed necessary. Vendors have started rationing lubricants and hydraulics. So what's happening here is if you go out for a stint, you know, oil changes and, you know, those kinds of things, that is becoming more scarce. It's going to drive costs up because the demand for the same degree of lubricants is going to go from X to X plus. So this is something that, you know, most people don't have in their business plan from a year or 2 or 3 ago when they set their pricing. And so what is that going to do to the pricing structure of things here in the next, you know, 24 months? It's going to be very interesting to see if lubricants and hydraulics, if those things do not float back down again as the availability starts to rise, it could mean a substantial increase in inflation and cost for across the industry. But then you also have specialized in what I call running maintenance. And what I'm talking about here is truck breaks down, you're on the side of the road, you got to get towed to ABC warranty or whatever dealership. Oh, and they got to find, the specialized widget. It's the only widget in the entire vehicle, and it's made blah, blah, blah. If that part is not available, then you could have a piece of equipment and an asset, a driver, that's down for weeks. And I can point to some real examples that my company, we have experienced here, that have had drivers down for upwards of 3 to 4 weeks. And had we not had spare equipment available, that driver would be very upset at us, very upset indeed, because they would not be able to turn wheels and make that check. And we can't forget the driver shortage. It's not just that car haul is losing people to competing freight and other driving industries. It is that people are, as a whole, less attracted to transportation as they are to other industries. The ATA, love it or hate it, they do compile some very interesting statistics, and they were showing that in 2019, there was a 61,000 driver shortage. How they get to that number, I have no idea. But I'll tell you this, whatever the formula was in 2018, they did the same study and it was 50,000. So it got bigger. And they are showing that the demand for drivers is increasing, that other jobs that would take drivers out of a Class A CDL role, maybe into a local delivery role, are now, it is causing a really serious crunch on what I would call the major logistics and supply lines of trucking. Car hauling, typically, we have been at the top echelon of wages in our business. Car hauling has always, work hard, but you're paid well. That is the way that this industry, has always had that sort of reputation to it. But now what's happening is that you're seeing incentives and hiring bonuses and all kinds of other things. What did you say before, Jay? How many companies have you seen say we're hiring? I mean, it's everyone. The pizza delivery guy. We need 10 of those now. I mean, everyone is hiring, and there are a lot of incentives out there. Many of them are ghosts and vapor, and I don't mean to talk ill, because I'm sure there are some extremely good ones out there too. But a lot of times, this big number that's up over here is not necessarily the number that you end up with after a period of time, because they put all kinds of caveats and whatever. Again, I'm not trying to take shots at anybody. There are plenty of scrupulous businesses that do good things, but there's a few others that don't. And I'm sure everybody knows what I mean. Point here is that new drivers entering into car haul is less than drivers who are exiting car haul. And that is a function of not just our segment of the business, but the business as a whole. Transportation as a whole is not bringing in the same amount of blood as is exiting for whatever reason, whether it's evacuation, retirement, attrition, you name it. And that's a really serious issue. I mean, that's an issue that we have today. That's an issue that we had yesterday. That's an issue that will be made worse tomorrow when there is a capacity crunch. So where does this leave us? The shortage will have long-lasting consequences. We talked about staffing 2 seconds ago. There will be staffing issues that we're going to have to find our way through. Fleet sizes. Some companies are going to sit there and say, well, if this is the new normal, I can't carry, I'm making this up, I can't carry 100 trucks because I only have revenue to pay for 50 trucks. So I'm going to downsize and get to 50. And if I do that, what does that do to service levels? What does that do to the way the pricing structure works? It's a big problem. Carrier fleet size and capital expenditure is one of the biggest line items that any carrier fleet has to be able to deal with, especially when you're dealing with newer vehicles that you're making payments on. You can't make payments on something that hauls nothing but dust. You got to be able to turn the wheels. What does this mean for part production? I'm talking about new OEM vehicles. What happens for them? How does that play out? Do all of the OEMs suddenly release the vehicles that they have available, or is this going to be some sort of metered flow? Nobody knows. The industry really is waiting with bated breath. It's going to be a very interesting time to see what happens there. New vehicle launches. If you're and very knowledgeable about the way manufacturing works in the new vehicle side. Every manufacturer knows today what 3 years from now's model is going to look like, feel like, act like, and they're starting to put together the parts list of what is that they have to buy and build, and to what degrees that their assembly plants are going to be able to have to produce. Well, that's a big problem if you have really no good picture of what demand is like. What is that, because right now demand looks very, very strange because supply is so low. It's going to be very interesting to see what that does. Internal combustion versus EVs and hybrids. The great one, Paul Machin, I love talking to him about this. I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say EVs have more chips in them than combustion engines. Just saying. That's going to be a big problem. What do you do with that? What is dealer inventory going to look like? Is this the new normal? If a dealership had 10 acres worth of property because that's what they needed to store their stock on, and they're only going to ever receive 3 acres worth of product, what are they going to do? Are they going to make some changes? Are they going to change their business model? Nobody knows. Fleet inventories, the fleet management, rental agencies, how are they going to fare through all of this? Because after a certain point, the fleet agencies were the first ones to start canceling orders when people couldn't fly on airplanes anymore. And I think that overall, rental fleets are still really, kind of on a knife's edge as to whether or not, hey, are we supposed to get more fleet, or are we supposed to let this let it sit and roll the dice and see how it goes? What about build-to-order business models? This is something that is going to be really interesting. It was something that this time last year I would have told you was preposterous. Build your car on the internet and then it'll get shipped to you or whatever. People have traditionally wanted to go and have that tactile thing where they reach out and touch the car. Well, now, not because of consumer choice, but because of supply and parts supply, you can't. So if you can't touch the car, what the hell difference does it make if you let your fingers do the walking? What does that do for technology and options? What are they going to leverage technology-wise and options on new vehicles? Or are things going to happen where used vehicles go to VPCs and receive new options or updated options because those modular options are using technology so that way they can standardize what these various chips do. Right now, a lot of the time that stuff is all proprietary by depending on which OEM that you buy, but who's to say that there isn't a market to try and standardize a lot of that stuff? And then the money would be made in the finished product, what I call the finalization aspect. And finally, car value and depreciation, and how does that relate into cars as a service? There was a French company some time ago that started, basically you pay a subscription, and by doing so you have access to a vehicle that you don't really own, but you pay a subscription. And if you live in a metropolitan area where it's very challenging to park or something like that, it's probably a good deal for you because you don't have to sustain the full cost of auto ownership, but you're able to still have the convenience and access to a vehicle whatever times a month if you need it. What's that going to do? Is that something that is going to take hold in the United States? I think the jury's out on that. There are probably some markets where that works, probably not exactly where I am. But at the end of the day, there is an elephant in the room. And that elephant in the room is cost. And by the way, I got this picture, and this is proof that the internet has everything. You can find it on the internet. Here's a picture of a little person standing next to an elephant. Yet another short joke. I apologize in advance for that. But at the end of the day, the elephant in the room is cost. What is this going to cost us? What is this going to cost our industry? What is this going to cost in terms of capacity? What does that do to drivers? The punchline to all of this is, what is the cost of our industry? And I really don't think anybody knows. Not me, not anybody. I think we're all going to be learning through this at the same time.
Wow. That is insane. Here's what I got to tell you, Joe. That I had no idea that you were doing a full-blown presentation, but that was incredible. And what was really cool about it is we've got a fleet management guy coming, and we've got a guy coming, and we've got Tim coming. So we'll get to talk to people that really deal with most of everything you just presented on a daily basis, maybe. Be kind of cool. Get their input on that. That was a good presentation. Wow. Good job.
Thanks.
That was,
Yeah.
they
Well
always
done.
talk about conference, what do you call it? Conference level.
Trade show level business presentation.
That was trade show.
Joe Bercari,
Man.
VP
That's
and
our next
GM
speech will
Midwestern
be
Car
next month.
Carriers. Right. Well, you've been storing it up. I know that it's great to have you back, and I want to hey, shout out camera one. I want to give a shout out to Chris Brown at Bombit Business Media. It was about a month ago, and he was kind of reaching out and really gave me the idea. Yes, we keep everywhere we go, we're hearing about chip shortage. It's in the news, it's at the conferences, people, on the sidewalk, and you're at the car wash, and then you're like, "Can I get a car wash?" He's like, "What about the chip shortage?" So it's everywhere, and so it just makes sense to bring it in for a show. Paul, whenever you're ready to join us, let's see here. Here we got.
While you're doing that, Jay, I'm going to talk to Joe if that's cool.
Yeah, go ahead.
Joe, so what are you seeing that? Because you guys have trucks, you're a carrier broker. You've got a bunch of trucks, new trucks, Stingers. What are you seeing? You talked about drivers. I am curious. How are you managing that? Because that is a real problem.
What I've learned about this, I'm trying to figure out the right way to say this. What I've learned about this is that there is no magic bullet when it comes to staffing and hiring drivers. The great one.
There he is.
Is he here?
Look at the screen.
Oh, what's up, Paul?
Look at the screen.
Dang.
I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened to my Zoom. It said I had to update, and it just messed everything up.
It happens. So, hey, you're here. Pause on that, Ty. Paul, welcome to Tuesday Nights Live. It's good to have you back here as well. So please say hello and introduce yourself to the audience.
Hey, everyone. Thank you for having me tonight again. It's been a while. Joe, I thought you did a phenomenal job laying down what the majority of the media won't tell people.
Right.
Freaking frustrating. It really is. It's frustrating. Thank you. I mean, you did an exceptional job just laying out the cause and effects. So one of my favorite mentors is talks about the 7 habits of highly effective people, Dr. Stephen Covey. Whenever cause and effect is separated by time and distance, very few people can connect the dots. Yeah. So it's easy to pull the wool over people's eyes. Just create enough noise, enough insane messaging, and you can easily confuse people. But if you can stay true to the facts, cause and effect, and follow the dots, you can have a successful business. What I heard you outline tonight was an incredible opportunity for everyone in Q4 of 2021 and for the entire year of Q2 of 2022.
Thank you. That's high praise coming from you, sir. I appreciate that.
You did a phenomenal job, brother. Phenomenal job.
Well, and keeping up with that stuff. Okay, so again, back to car hauler world. That's what we talk about. Joe's in it every day, up to his, who knows how high, probably above it.
Up here.
And seeing it on a regular basis. So I think that what Paul Machin is saying is to stay on top of this is really critical, whether you're one truck or you've got a small fleet or a big fleet, because it has an impact, right, Paul? Is that kind of what you're saying? If you're staying on this stuff, you can.
Well, let me comment a little here on the multiplying effect.
Multiplicative?
Thank you. Effects of and I was wordsmithing you once before, Jay. I apologize for that one.
Busted.
So the multiplicative effect, oh my gosh, I'm brutalizing it, of this, because if you built your business plan on a fleet size, to be able to there's all kinds of metrics when you get above a certain level where you want to measure, weekly output, weekly releases, and then you want to try and run lean and mean to be able to cover that. The reality is that there is some degree of maintenance that has to take place. It's critical, that you do that. So you have a certain amount of assets that are going to sit because that maintenance has to take place. Well, when that number quadruples because parts availability or fluid availability is not there, it can throw a real monkey wrench into the way that you manage your business, the way that you manage your inventory. And that is exactly what at least Midwestern is experiencing right now, where, we are spinning a lot of plates to try and manage through that exact situation. And then you combine that and multiply it by the fact that the maintenance is not in one place. We are a multi-state organization. I have trucks that are running all over the Midwest. And when this one's down over here and that one's down over there, and the part that I need is over here, and this, that I am blessed to have some extremely competent maintenance people on our staff who are able to connect those kinds of dots. But, they go home tired every day. I can tell you that. It wears them out. That's what we're dealing with in our business right now.
We're approaching, what's exciting for us is we are approaching, let me caution, I say exciting, 22 weeks to get chips, right? And the material and component shortages, they're compounded. And I've talked about this almost 7 months ago of what's coming today. We're talking about jammed transportation from road haulers, from trains, from ships, and from planes. We have forced global automakers from Toyota to Volkswagen cutting or suspending production in recent weeks. Toyota said they're halting production and reducing it by 40% just this year alone. And in the US, that's a couple 100,000 units. Worldwide, that's 14 plants. I don't know what that means for the rest of the world. I don't live in the rest. I live here. And there's a couple 100,000 units that we're going to be short. That's on the new car side. However, the most severe bottleneck is the lack of materials like those that are required for the lead frames. The structure that the chip fits within, the semiconductor, that lead frame that communicates the signals outside of the package. About 5 weeks ago, I talked about think in terms of far upstream delivery chains. Where does the base materials come from? And thinking what has to happen to get the base materials, and then once the base materials are dug up, where do they go? Who has to do whatever to the base materials to make it to where it might be usable and converted into a usable solution? And then that has to be transferred and shipped to a facility that has enough people that's up and running to be able to make the components. And once those components are made, then they get to be shipped to the rest of the world. So what Joe was outlining earlier, very high level, was trying to say, Christmas 2021, if you're not buying Christmas presents now, you might not be able to. That's essentially what he was trying to explain to you guys. That's what we have today in the new car world. And
actually others, Paul, because I read an article that said your PS5 is not coming for Christmas.
That's right. I'm telling you, if you don't have your Christmas presents now, you're not getting them.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest challenges that we have in the supply chain is not the fact that we have available inventory to be able to deliver, because we don't have people to deliver them, because we don't have buyers willing to pay the price to get them. That's the difference. That's the difference today. Again, 5 weeks ago, I started describing, don't create demand destruction, right? We're so high right now. Dealers are so high, incredibly high on gross profits. You know, they're making more money than they've ever made before. And they, you know, they're thinking, you know what, I'm going to pass on this deal. I'm making I just got an offer that's $5,000 over what I thought I could sell the car for. I'm going to pass on it because I think I might make $6,000. That was 3 weeks ago. The market's changed that fast. That fast. We have a seasonality index that happens every year, mid-August through mid-September. There's a market adjustment. Now, even if the market adjustment does a 20% drop in August, the highest ever, if that happens, we're still 15 points higher at the end of the year than we were at the first of this year. So was it really a drop? Not really. But here's the catch-22. I described the perfect storm, a combination of inventory, combination of new car inventory with the used cars, the availability of credit, what kind of credits that's going to be available. And then the third part of that was what would happen if the lender said, you know what, we think there's too much risk here. You know, what kind of margin compression is going to happen for, and I know it, when we talk about transportation, to get the vehicle, we all need 4 things to sell a car. The number one thing we need is inventory. That's obvious, right? The second thing we need is a person who wants to buy. The third thing we need is the availability of credit to be able to buy. And then the very last thing, do we got a lender that'll let it happen? Right? If you don't have the last thing, the first 3 don't matter, right? So what happened in Q1 2021? 119% advance. That was a backdrop against the fact that in Q1, the average dealer was paying 130% wholesale, but they could only list the car for 121% in Q1. In Q2, they were paying between 134 and 138% wholesale.
Oh.
Right. Think about that for a second. Just let that bake in your mind. But they could only ask up to 125% retail. Now here's where it gets really sweet, because I warned about this. Margin compression controlled by the lender, 106%. We dropped from 119% to 106% advance. So if I'm asking $10,000 for a pre-owned vehicle, I can only get 106% of that in Q2. But in Q1, I got 119% of that. But at the same time, I spent 14% more to buy that used car.
So let me see if I can put that into like much more layman's terms. Is that the cost of the vehicle on the wholesale market has gone up, which
Incredibly.
You're going to have a natural erosion of your overall margin because the value is never going to keep up with the wholesale fluctuations to the same pace. But now also, the largest way for most dealerships to be making money is through the financing arm, and that financing arm margin has just basically shrank by 10 points.
Yes.
From 106, I forget the numbers used, 119 to 106%, which means that in essence, you took a mulligan on that, on that, in addition to the fact that, now you're also constrained with some supply. So really what you're doing is you're cutting into the margin of the sales on the vehicles as they're being sold, which means that dealers are going to be struggling to be able to make the same margin on XYZ vehicle today as what they sold in 2019, 2010, et cetera.
Correct, 100%. But that's where it goes into the cost of transportation.
Wow.
I believe that there's an incredible opportunity. BAU, business as usual, is the nemesis of creative business. We've always done business this way. Why do I need to change? Why do I need to evolve? It's always worked this way. I believe there's a new awakening that's going to happen in logistics and algorithms to be able to figure out how to do a better job of picking up, delivering, and sourcing inventory. Not just automotive, everything, from trains, from rails, to ships, to cars, to hauling inventory. there's a better way to do it. And I think it requires more nimble and more reactive abilities to be able to source that inventory. You know, if you have the spiders, God bless you, you're going to be that small portion that's going to be able to own the big deals. But the ones that are going to be the busiest, they're going to be like ants. They're going to be like ants running back and forth all day, every day, 20 times, 30 times a day. But I'd rather be the guy or gal that picks up a penny a day, double it twice a day, than the guy or gal who gets 1 penny a month.
I'll say what you said again in layman's terms. What are the 7 most dangerous words in all of business? That's the way we've always done this.
Business as usual. I call that a disease. BAU is a freaking disease.
It's bad business. Mike Buchanan, ARI, he's been sitting here. I've been watching. He smiled a couple times when we were talking about used car values. I saw that.
Yeah, my clients aren't complaining about that, Ty.
Mikey.
Paul, gentlemen, good to see everybody.
Yeah, thanks for joining us, Mike. Please say hello to the live audience. Thanks for coming back.
No, of course. Thanks for having me. Good to see everybody.
Yeah, go ahead. I just want to say, yeah, Ty, go ahead. But I want to say this, what you don't know, Mike let me know he's got a couple slides, so he's going to take it away. But go ahead, Ty, please.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
there you go. I don't need to take it away.
Yeah, I could jump right into it. It's not an
Sure,
A+ presentation that Joe put together. And before we jump in, Joe, can you show that coffee cup one more time? Because that was absolutely perfect. I saw Ty. No, not that one. The other one.
There we go.
There it is. You drank that right when you finished
Yeah, that
your
was perfect.
presentation.
Okay,
which
I
was-
missed it. Show the coffee cup one more time. Cue up the coffee cup. Oh, there it is.
He took a drink right after he did his presentation with that side showing.
The timing was absolutely perfect, Joe. So what I wanted to jump into, just 3 articles that I noticed. You guys mentioned container ships.
Absolutely, right?
Here's a perfect example. 44 of them are stuck off the coast of California. It's the largest amount that has been sitting offshore at any point. It's not COVID related. And the number one issue, they don't have drivers to pick up the containers and get them off the ports. They could unload them, they can't move them. So it was a great point with Paul. The cost of getting these goods to where they need to be moved, well, get more drivers. Well, that's going to cost money. You talk about other OEMs or manufacturers that are slashing what vehicles they're making. Mercedes-Benz announced that all but 2 models are going to have V8s in 2022. 100% because of microchips. So it's affecting every single OEM out there and every single classification of vehicles. And then finally, one of the things I wanted to share. So the company I work for, obviously ARI, we're in the fleet management space. We're owned by Holman Enterprises, which is a large business group that has dealerships, obviously the fleet side, insurance, but also they have a parts distribution company that does a lot with powertrains and cores. You mentioned earlier what's going to happen to all these batteries and the EVs and hybrids. Holman Parts Distribution actually won an award for being part of a battery recycling program to make sure that these are being handled as efficiently as possible. It's something that I know I'm proud to be part of because, yeah, I know how these can't just be thrown away. And by being able to recycle these as best as possible, not only good for the environment, but getting them back into vehicles and hopefully reused as another drivetrain. On top of that, I do have, like I mentioned, 2 very specific slides. In my world, I deal with anything that have wheels and tracks. And we talk all the time what's happening with OEM manufacturers. I know somebody from the live chat was talking about how they're looking at delays on their new tractor that they recently purchased. One of the things that I'm always tracking is vehicle or equipment volume at auctions. And on this slide, we're seeing 2 very specific asset types, multi-terrain loaders, skid steers at Ritchie Brothers auctions. Volume year over year dropped 60%. And the primary reason is they can't get new ones. nobody's going to sell a used one if the new one's not in the pipeline. So I know people are seeing this across the board with their tractors that they're seeing, the delays on the trailers. I think, Jay, you showed an article about some of the delays in manufacturing new trailers. So it's definitely something that is impacting absolutely everything. And then finally, I got to thank Black Book, just like Joe has been mentioning with Paul, how amazing your data is. While we are seeing a shift in values, and Paul, I love your input on this, because obviously there's always seasonal depreciation. Something that I talk to clients of mine and prospects of mine all the time is, outside of mileage being a factor in depreciation, the next biggest is model year changeover, which is happening in August, which is the catalyst for this time of year. So you're seeing seasonal depreciation. But as you can see in the marketplace, vehicles are still selling like hotcakes. Anywhere around 70%, that's a seller's market. You can pretty much, like what you're saying, Paul, set the price wherever you want. 10% higher than Black Book, even if the vehicle has issues, it's selling at the auction. And we are consistently seeing this week in and week out, and who knows exactly when it's going to end. So obviously, to wrap this up, the supply chain issues are impacting everything from PS5s to tractors to yellow iron. But the wholesale market is going to continue to thrive as long as that new vehicle volume just is not there.
So Mike, I just want to caution, that's the beginning of demand destruction, right?
Absolutely.
When you have prolonged limited availability of inventory, increased retail pricing, and then you have lenders who won't let consumers buy that inventory. So, I mean, this past weekend, I had dealers saying, "Dude, I got cars I've had for 100 days because I paid too much for it 100 days ago, and I held on to it." I'm like, Tim's getting ready to talk. Tim's
right, perfect timing.
We've been talking about this. We've been talking
Here's
about
the
this.
softball.
Right, for 2 months, we've been talking about this. If you have inventory 35 to 45 days, sell it. Don't keep it right now.
Yeah, no sympathy for the dealers amongst this group, usually. I don't think they're getting any sympathy now. You don't need to give them any sympathy. But yeah, I mean, there's some guys out there. One, thanks for having me, Jay. Good to see you. Joe, knocked it out of the park, man. Not a lot of guys can keep Paul Machin on their toes. You accomplished. He needs a mug for that. Like, I beat Paul Machin. That's what he got.
But the machine.
Yeah, right. No, but seriously, yeah, dealers are, they're getting tired of this too. I know I'll be the dealer guy on here. They want inventory. They want to be able to sell more cars. But all the stuff that you guys talked about today, you laid it out great, Joe. It's starting to affect them. The big guys, the publics, the near publics, they're going to make it. They've got service and they've got a big operation. But I'm really worried about the small business owner, the guy who owns one store, who doesn't sell but 40, 50 new or maybe a couple 20 used. I hope these guys can make it. So if they're out there, they need to be listening. Good stuff tonight, guys.
It is good.
Thank you, Tim. And yes, Tim, we appreciate you hanging on and then joining in. So here's what we're gonna do. By the way, mic check 1, 2, 3. If you're just joining right now, you're just in time because we finally brought the full panel in its glory here. And we still have time. So guys, I know it's 10 to 10, and I know we got somebody turns into a pumpkin 10 minutes, but if we can hang on a little bit longer now that the panel is here. I've got stuff that here's some notes that I've made. I got notes. Fair. I didn't even put fair in the news because it's kind of like, nah, but I mean, I've always wondered how that was going to work out at this period of time. But if you add everything else, they're going to go back to the drawing board. Let's talk about driver shortage. I mean, it was 2019, and the driver said, we don't want ELD. And now we got, AB5 and the clearinghouse. And I mean, I know we need regulations, but it's gone. This is what the driver said they were going to do. They said we're going to leave. If you make it too hard, there's a reason I like this lifestyle. I get to work and still be a human self. Well, if you take out the ability to be human self, there you go. Anybody else? Hot potato.
Yeah, I can talk about this a lot. So, I obviously we process a lot of drivers applications at Midwestern, and so I'm going to kind of answer Ty's earlier question before about driver hiring and that. What are you hearing on the street? And number one, there's no magic bullet. There's no one thing. If you're not diversifying your approach to try and find attention 10,000 ways, then you are not going to get certified applicants. So number one thing, got to find certified applicants. Got to find people interested in the job, interested in the business. Number two, our industry has had an unfortunate habit of being 15 years behind the curve on what the rest of the world is kind of doing. Clearinghouse and all these other things are a function of that, because a lot of older technologies, the regulations existed, in a lot of other industries, those technologies existed sometime before. The problem is that we are dealing with old level bureaucracy and new level technology, and they are doing that. So drivers are trying to do clearinghouse the right way and get into the business in some fashion. And then, they run into obstacles of old world bureaucracy because they, for whatever reason, it can't be let go. And at some point, they just sit there and say, screw it. I'm going to Amazon.
Think about that. Why are they going
There
to
you have it.
So, Joe, I got a question, and obviously this could be for Ty and Jay as well, knowing that you're in the industry. A large fleet client of mine the other day saw something on social media where they actually partook in WyoTech, obviously a big mechanical school, put some scholarships on there, and in addition, they gave 3 recent graduates almost a 6-figure job right out of school. So knowing that they were able to help put them through that school, line them up with a job, is there somebody in the trucking industry that also provides that kind of level of enthusiasm to maybe the younger generation to get them engaged and get them into that type of career?
Good question.
Yeah. And so the answer to that question is that it does get complicated there. And
absolutely,
what happens is if you're getting into a freight job or some other kind of behind the wheel type job, not car hauling, then yes, that opportunity exists, and it's very easy for you to make those connections. A lot of car haul companies have said, well, I'll partner with this driving school and I'll be able to, and it never pans out, because what happens is that car hauling is not exactly a truck driving job. It's a car hauling job. It's a production job. You have to do things in car haul that truck drivers, other truck drivers are not able to do. There are other industries that are specialized in relating to steel and a few other, but so what has oftentimes restricted that from happening in specifically car haul, our specialized businesses, is insurance saying, I'm not interested in taking someone with no years of experience and putting them in 80,000-pound dinosaur that can drive through a school and take out everything and turn everyone inside of it into chunky salsa. That becomes something that is very, very delicate to walk through, and that has been a very big obstacle in being able to get people into our business. Now, one could argue, successfully, I would think, that when you're dealing with something as specialized as car haul, where you start out with a 40,000, 45,000 pound, 80-foot thing, you want someone who knows what they're doing behind the wheel. You want someone with some degree of experience, being able to drive it. So there is some argument to be made, again, successfully, I think, that you probably need to have someone with some years behind them to get into that asset, into that equipment. Historically, year one out of trade schools, very challenging in our business, very challenging.
We're going to see a change this year, though. I think we're going to see it because of the global impact that we're experiencing. And it's not just happening in the car hauling industry. It's happening across every logistics industry. You know, again, rail, shipping, flights, everyone is revolting at the low pay for the high demand of the supply that needs to be delivered in the way it needs to be delivered. I think we're going to see an adjustment in 2022 to be able to get things back to normal. We're going to have to pay those prices that are fair, maybe not what they're being asked for today. You know, 3x or 4x might be too much, but maybe 1x more, maybe 2x more. I don't know. The market will determine that. The market will end up determining that when they get frustrated enough that they can't get any product they want anymore.
Yeah, so it's interesting, and I'm pretty much on the same page with you. It's not surprising, that's normal. But I think that you know, what you're talking about is saying there's going to be a shift in the market, and I'm saying that then to do that, underwriting is going to have to assess more risk. That's going to drive costs to the equation. That cost is going to drive pricing. And there's a lot of resistance from, I mean, there's constantly downward pressure on pricing, you know, that we have to deal with. And I think that there is going to be some continuous downward pricing on, you know, until it hits that resistance band where you know, someone sits there and says, okay, uncle, enough. I understand. If I got to pay X more to move the product.
I'll give you a great example. I'm going to use a very low priced example. Gatorade. My wife and I love Gatorade Zero, right? So for the last 3 weeks, whenever we see Gatorade Zero in the shelf, we buy it out. We buy all of it. I mean, we might have a one shopping cart full of nothing but Gatorade Zero, but I got it because I went through 5 other locations. I mean, talking grocery stores, the gas stations, nothing. I mean, they were empty. Today, I was at the QT, the Quick Trip, and their shelves were almost vacant of product, of everything. But they had one section, Gatorade Zero. I bought every bottle.
Okay. I just want to say that I love what we're talking about right now. So how did you... That's amazing, Paul. And I mean, now I'm not going to be able to go to a store without seeing Gatorade Zero for at least the next week without thinking about you, and maybe I need to get in on this.
We're going to be posting Gatorade Zero pictures on all the socials.
LinkedIn, people being on LinkedIn. What's going on with Gatorade Zero? I got to get it now.
No, all the other Gatorades were sold out. All the other Gatorades were sold out, right? That was the problem. If they were all sold out, it was the Gatorade Zero that was left, so I bought it.
Well, and that makes this interesting because I prefer, I don't know if it's classic Gatorade, but not right. Gatorade Zero. So maybe I'll buy out all the other Gatorade. You and I will corner the whole market.
Right.
We're going to drive up the price of... all right, that was fun. I'll tell you what, I saw this in the live chat. Insurance policies are the biggest obstacles for new drivers to start up. And I can't help, whenever we talk about driver shortage, I think about all the owner-operators that aren't happy with the low rates, and I wonder why some of them can't be converted into being drivers for the companies that have contracts and need good drivers. What's going on there? How do we fix that? How do you fix the gap between owner-operators and drivers? Some of them could fill those spots, no?
Well, yeah, I mean... Yeah, the short answer is yes. But as always, there's always nuance. It always gets complicated. You know, insurability is a question, and no slam against anybody, but prior history has a lot to do with that. And so, you know, when you get to the point where you're going through underwriting and all those sorts of things, you know, that is a ruthless and merciless market that you're basically entering into. So that's thing number one. You know, thing number two, my best advice, find a reputable company that you can lease onto. find out what their insurance requirements are based upon the customers that they have, and lease on. You'll sacrifice a little bit of flexibility to be able to do this. But what you gain out of that are going to be connections, you'll start building all of those kinds of relationships that ultimately will serve you well. I don't necessarily like this, but the reality of the market is that most people do not stay with one employer for more than a certain number of years. That number has been shrinking and shrinking and shrinking as I get older and older, as my age gets more and more and more. So, the reality is that, as you make those connections, you'll be able to find the right fit for you at some point, just a matter of time. So if you're a new owner operator, if you've got an opportunity to find someone reputable that you can hook your wagon to, no pun intended, I would say do that. Use their, and a lot of times when you do that, you'll be able to gain access to group insurance policies and insurance things, benefits that will be able to drive your costs down versus what you would be doing on the solo market. And that in turn will build those relationships, and you'll be able to work your way through.
I think I just want to say this, Ty, just in our neck of the woods in the ATI community, we're already seeing turnover, and it's higher than, right? You see that, Ty?
I do.
Just ATI.
As we're sitting here, I'm thinking, okay, today I was in Platte City, Missouri. That's just north of Kansas City, excuse me. There's a Chevy store across the street is a Ford store. I intentionally drive by these stores that are out of my way, but I intentionally drive by them to go do whatever it is I'm doing. And I always keep an eye on, teach guys if you want to be a car hauler, start learning how to count cars on lots as you're driving by at 30 miles an hour. Get a good idea of what you're dealing with. So anyway, I keep a close eye on these small city, small town, small dealers. The Chevy store has literally, I counted, 6 new trucks for sale. I didn't see any used cars, but here's what I did see that blew my mind. And Mike or Tim or Paul, somebody can help me, maybe Joe. So at the Chevy store, he has 37 yellow Chevy, looks like you work trucks. Somebody's, orange, yellow, orangey color. Mm-hmm. And he's got beside it the white, and I don't know if they don't have it. I'm going to stop and ask, but so what are they doing? Go over to cross the street to the Ford store, and Tim, I'm going to get to you. This is for you. They've got, I counted 18 used cars, and I think it was close to 21 new. So they had quite a bit more inventory. But as I'm driving by today, my thought is how would you like to be the sales guy at the Chevy store? Tim?
The good sales guys are still making money and are making a living. We're weeding out the inexperienced. I use the example of the guy who was a barista 2 weeks ago selling the $80,000 BMW. That person is probably reluctant to come sell cars right now, because you got to work off your previous book of business. But you got to, it's even though inventory is short, a good dealer is going to continue to turn his inventory because you got to feed the beast. And Jay and I did the show a couple of weeks ago about what things you got to look at the dealership. I mean, if there's cars there, shit's happening. If there's no cars there, shit ain't happening. Right? No, I'm just being right. So put stuff through the cycle, and
1 equals 2, right?
Right.
We're not doing the new math. We're not doing no new math.
I like those layman terms. Those are good.
Right. The stuff can continue to happen. I mean, there's a lot of, I hate to say, there's a lot of doom and gloom on this show tonight, but it's all good stuff. It's all relevant. It's all top of mind. But I'm a big believer that car dealers and the consumer are resilient. And Paul and I talked about this a couple times. Man, stuff's going to change. This is what we are going to see, some serious innovation here in the fourth quarter and in Q1. The guys are working on it right now, downstairs in the basement. It's going to be really cool.
I'm going to say that's what I haven't said. I've sat here for 2 hours and talking like crazy. What I haven't said is, yeah, I agree with you. Like, right? I mean, what does it look like? What does the future look like?
I'm excited.
I think Tim and Paul are saying it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
America's gonna come back, and America is incredible, right, Paul? We know how to make stuff, we know how to do stuff, and we know how to make it happen quick, right? We're gonna figure this out. I mean, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, well, hold on a minute. You're telling me the guys at Ford don't have a team already somewhere here in the States trying to figure out how to build an effing chip? Excuse my F, you know? I mean, really?
Yeah, and well, was it Intel news or something? It is amazing how much Ford news there has been lately, right? Man, they have cranked up. It seems like they were just kind of doing whatever. And man, everything's Ford now. I don't know how they pulled that off.
Well, any of them. I mean, my point is we're sitting here. Everybody's talking about the problem. Is anybody going to do anything? This is America, right?
They're working on the problem. Has probably been fixed. It's just now we got to put it in place, right? And I'm excited for that show, where we're like,
yeah, but what if nobody believes in the new chips? Okay.
No, I do think what Paul and Tim are saying here, there is opportunity, and I think Joe, Mike, anybody on this panel would agree. There is opportunity. It's navigating through it and finding it.
Right. It's not.
Yeah, I think it. I think that what you know, at the end of the day, it's as simple as this. We on the carrier side provide a service. We have to identify the problems so that way we can manage our business accordingly. But look, when the chips start flowing, there's a tsunami coming. And this industry is going to look like it hasn't in 20 years. I'm talking 1997 level, 98 level, you know, volumes coming at us. I think that, you know, there is so much pent up demand. At the end of the day, it's all about the customer. You know, that ending customer is the one who writes the check that feeds everyone upstream. And I think that there is so much demand. You know, that's the one thing that has not really relaxed, is that level of demand. That when production starts to keep up, or, you know, starts to try and meet those levels, it is going to be thunderous. And I think that in some ways, that's why it's important for us to identify the other major problems other than chips. Because, you know, if maintenance issues don't go away, if driver shortage issues don't go away, if we don't understand fully how these vehicles will be sold to the general public, that is, if there is a shift to that we're not used to, then we on the distribution side are going to really struggle. Because we're going to have that old business model attempting to keep up with something that is very new and very different. And I'm going to bring it back over to Mr. Machin, one of the 7 most dangerous words in business. That's the way we've always done this. So that is the key to me is, you know, what do we recognize? What's the cost going to look like? How do we adjust our businesses to be able to match this and to support our customers?
That's why I like to ask, what's your battery-powered rickshaw?
Rickshaw.
It's a deep question. I've actually considered, I see it a deep question. One man's battery-powered rickshaw is another man's like, yeah, whatever. It's just another ride down the street to the deli. But to one guy, it's the end of his life.
It's everything. It is everything.
It's everything. It is. It's the way, which gets to the 7 words. It's the way it's always been done. We've always had manual rickshaws. What are you talking about, battery-powered rickshaws?
Car hauling, in the automotive industry, we've never seen a cycle like we're getting ready to experience, right? So we're in the used car side of things. We know that the lower volume of new vehicles that has been sold for 2 years now in a row, that's going to impact the availability of the 0 to 2 year old inventory starting next year, right? So, and that's the sweet spot for most dealers, is that 0 to 2 year old inventory for higher volume. Their gross profits is the 3 and 4-year-old inventory. Well, guess what we already sold out of? I've already had one OE said, if there's no more 2018s running through the lanes, how are you going to give me a proper valuation? We'll have to figure that part out when we get there, because we're there now. 97% of my off-lease vehicles, my grounding dealers are keeping it, not even going to the lane. So there's no proper valuation on a 3 to 4-year-old vehicle. So we're moving into the next 2 years. How do we source enough pre-owned inventory when we don't have enough new inventory to feed, to Mike's point, feed the beast? Right?
We really barely even spoke about auctions tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. Between all the digital auctions and all the decreased inventory, this is where I think, am I right, Ty? At IARA, when they had some of the heavy hitters of Carr and Cox, did it get, and then there was that Bill Zadites panel. I think that auctions kind of hit some turbulence there, right?
A little bit.
Just a little bit.
You're not going to get me, Jay. Good try.
I know, right? Dang it.
Good try, Jay. I'm not doing it. But, real quick, Mike and I had an interesting email. I never followed up, but did you find what you were looking for?
Absolutely. So, like
really?
Ty mentioned, one of the valuable things about ATI is how we all get connected and we create networks. I have a large fleet client that's looking to liquidate specialized assets that are within the realms of Ty, a little bit outside of my wheelhouse and those that are in ARI. So we're able to network and figure out what we can do and put some values on those. So thank you very much about that.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is good. That's what we like to do. Joe, I'm going to make it my goal. Are you going to be in town this week?
Yep. All week.
Either stop by or call. Is that okay with you? I need to talk to you.
Sure.
All right, cool. Tim, always good to see you, my friend.
I got a trip to KC. It's in the works, so I'll keep you guys posted. All right.
Awesome.
All right, hot
Maybe
dogs.
we can work that into a Cars on the Move, maybe.
Yeah, hot dogs in lane 8 on me.
Dude, definitely.
That was awesome. Great show, guys. Joe,
wow.
Incredible presentation, man. That was really good. Thank you very much. Jay, I'll let you close out.
Yeah, I thank everybody. Thank you so much for your patience and time and agreeing and letting me rope you in. This really was an amazing show, and I think we all see that as that it's the content, it's the participants, it's the network, it's the relationship we've built. I mean, I feel close to all you guys, and I really, really value that. So thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thanks, Jay. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and there it is. It's over. We're going to camera 1. The party has ended. The meeting is over. And I'll go ahead and hit you up in the live chat. You know, you guys, I mean it. What is your battery-powered rickshaw? What is... what could happen next week? We got problems out the wazoo. There's going to be another problem next week. And then the week after. And I tell you what, oh my gosh. Talk about freaking me out with the Christmas present stuff. I looked at the date. I'm thinking, it's August 31st. I better start working on Christmas presents. So thank you so much for that. I believe that was Paul Machine. The great Paul Machine. I want to thank so much. I want to thank Joe Bercari, Midwestern Car Carriers, Paul Machine of Black Book, Mike Buchanan of ARI, Tim Scoutelas of Max Digital, and of course Ty Thompson of Cars on the Move. Thank you guys so much for helping me make this an amazing Tuesday night, episode 205 in a row. Of course, I want to thank SuperFlo Systems, ViLOG Asset Tracking, Murphy Auto Transport, I want to thank the folks at AutoIMS and ConditionReports.com, and of course my friends at Black Widow. Thank you all so much. Thank you IARA for an amazing week last week. That was incredible. Can't wait to do it again. We got some more stuff cooking. In fact, I didn't even make a graphic for this, but next week we're going to try to do a post IARA show. We've got Martin Romju, Bob at Business Media and Vehicle Remarketing. He took a lot of notes, wrote a great article, so he's gonna help us look at some of that, because I truly believe that these live events, so much work goes into them, so many sponsors, exhibitors, attendees, agenda. There's way more there than just the few days of the event. You got pre-event, post-event. Dude, we got a month of content out of 3 days of event. That's just my belief. So, man, thank you guys so much for being a part of it. Thank you for saying hello in the live chat. Thank you for watching. Whether you watch live or on demand, do me a favor. Go ahead and share that link. You can grab it, you can share it, you can like it, wrestle it to the ground, and enjoy it, because this is Auto Transport Intel. It's an open forum, and it's really happening. The relationships are happening. The information is flowing. So thank you guys so much. I'm out of here. I'm stumbling over my own words. It's time to go. Peace out, everybody. Stay safe. And please join us tomorrow for DOT compliance at noon. We've got a big show in store. Take care and stay safe. Thank you.